kind of weird. They force everyone onto their platform and then can't hold all the people. It's a bad look for the company. But anyways, for buys today, I wanted to see the open. I mentioned yesterday on the market review that if we were to open up between this low or this high on the 4-hour chart and this gap on the 4-hour chart, I would be not really liking the price action. I wanted today to definitely expand the daily range, right? Down here we have a nice IRL manipulation to ERL, and for us to, especially on a high impact news driver like today, I want to see some sort of 4-hour PD rate to be engaged and it start to leave. Now we have this short-term swing high here that I will say. So I'm watching obviously how we react to that, and it's giving us a nice displacement away. So for the time being, I'm bearish. But I don't really want to be scalping within the range on a Thursday. So if there's nothing really in here that I'm liking, I'm considering to sit out today as well. Which is unfortunate, but you got to play what you're given. Last manipulation leg here coming to 930. We do have SMT on these highs, as well as SMT on these highs here, and then the 4-hour swing high, boom, boom, boom. All right, YM is pushing up, ES staying still, NASDAQ dropping. So I'm perfectly fine staying hands off for this for now. So at the kind of at the same time, I guess the lag on the top sub charts are kind of beneficial. Or we just play around with demo here. I don't really want to put something on. I don't know. If you look in their you know how they normally do those Top Step X live streams and stuff. They don't even use their own platform. And then everyone in the chat is like, "Hey, fix your thing." No one's fixing it. We've got bearish order block up there. So nice manipulation right at 930, forming that high of expected session and then dropping back down to the range. 5 minutes SD there, that kind of confirms the order flow. And then obviously the secondary displacement right in there with a gap forming prior to the macro time. Nicely done. Oh, did they fix it? Nope. Anyway, so rebalancing the gap. Look for, obviously, London session is a low-hanging fruit. And then PM session is also low-hanging fruit. Right, we're looking at if today is going to be used as that kind of weekly expansion, this is potentially the weekly high, which I don't know why we'd have to come all the way back up to the rejection block for that to be the weekly high. Down here has my attention. There's a swing low there. Also, the relatively equal lows that we placed in from yesterday and Wednesday with had SMT below it. You know, I'd favor it actually coming all the way down into here and even down to the current weekly low, if this is going to be a standard profile. Otherwise, if we already dug into the IRL, we already dug into the ERL, Friday, Thursday is just going to stay within the range. I don't want to deal with that. That's what I wanted it to leave either this high or trade below this gap, because then I know we're going to go for one of those two into Friday, right? I want to be trading with that entire range. So I'm probably missing some of this move if it means I can get a better range of a scalp. But yeah, I don't think, we place a lot of emphasis, maybe me personally, or maybe you as well, of today's price action, but don't come into here with the expectation of taking a setup. We're still trading this like normal price action. You come into it trying to find your daily bias. I don't really think there's a clear weekly profile today or weekly direction for right now. I think Tuesday, Wednesday was clear. Boom, tag that. Now where's the week going to go? Doesn't look like it wants to blatantly continue up. I think coming into the morning session, like I said, it's nice order flow holding, but this gap needs to hold. And energetically run up above there, form a gap, hold that gap. The fact that it's now dropping below this, taking out that swing low. Very unlikely we're going to go for the Wednesday high for this morning's price action and even potentially daily price action. So, like I said, then my focus then drops to sell side and inefficiencies on the lower time frame, which would be this gap here, the sell side here from stacked liquidity pools, and then the Monday low. So it's a problem with their legacy dashboard. Whatever. You can see price action using the breaker quite strongly. Right in here, high, low, higher, high. Last consecutive down closing candles here. Pair that with that little VI / gap. Very first presentation gap right in here too. Being left open. And obviously we're just holding very weakly the price action. Can't even get to consequent encroachment, can't get to the order block. Drops back down. Same thing in here, inefficiency barely being used. Starting to leave it. So we're looking good for, let me start to mark out these lower targets. -2.5 is here as well. Sell side and sell side. So this is my draws for today. I can't really argue shorts either, Wags, in terms of a higher time frame, but for the session, what we're given right now, it looks like that's what we may get. So I'm not going to marry a bias today and try and push for longs, because we did already tag out that previous weekly high. If we didn't tag out the previous weekly high, I would still be looking for longs. But this price action in here hovering right below this, I don't know. And obviously now we're taking on the PM session low, so I don't think it's too bad to argue shorts, at least for the session. I don't know if the day is going to move down there. But we did have 8:30 news today, and protocol for that would be entry between 9:30 and 10:10, preferably. As I was fixing that top step XG, I didn't get any 9:30 setups or anything like that, to be honest. But overall this week, just meh price action. Maybe that's a personal opinion. But I don't know. Monday, Tuesday was just overall bad PA, like almost untradeable PA, at least in my mind. Wednesday, not too bad. Definitely an early move, so it doesn't make it untradeable, just kind of unfortunate, at least for my kind of model. I don't really trade the 850 macro, so early for me. And then today's price action opening up between the weekly low and weekly high on an 8:30 news, and not really giving us that continuation. So overall, very weird weekly profile and very weird. It's not untradeable, but something that I'm not comfortable with, I guess. And that's maybe why I've been sitting out so much, just trying to learn it, absorb it. I did do a mark review yesterday. That was around 20 minutes long, so I'll upload that right after this stream is over. It's just a quick breakdown, of higher time frame to lower time frame, basically marking it up as I would like to see it marked up for me. Going from PD array to PD array, session setup, things like that, and explaining why we had the price action that we did and the models that were there is just slightly early. Going into 930, going into the 850 macro, those are the ones that kind of played out yesterday. So the 930 entry and the 950 especially are going to be later in the move. I also mentioned yesterday in the market review that unemployment claims is not one of those big news drivers. And you can see it in here, right? We had 830 news today. Do you see really any crazy injection of volatility here or the start of some sort of larger move? You don't really, right? So whenever you have unemployment claims, the day before of it normally is perfectly fine to take any setups. And there's actually a guide that AM Trades has released. If you know who AM Trades is, he's got great content, first of all. Second of all, he's posted this picture that I've used for the past couple of months. And I suggest you use it as well. This is specifically for tier 1 news drivers. How come I can't access the chat? Discord's freaking out too now. I'll put it in Trading Hall if you want it. But that is only dealing with red folder news drivers. So that's the kind of approach that I use for what days to skip, what days to not skip. So unemployment claims you don't see on there. So that's one of those lower impact, high, red folder news, which he's probably worded it incorrectly there. But it's a good rule of thumb. I mean, speed-wise, we're going pretty quickly. I like this. So I have no problem in shorting it. Unless it gives me, saying, well, I want something to give me good. We got an order block here, weak order block. Why is it weak? There's no displacement afterwards. You do have a slight kind of wick up and down there, but there's no real gap forming here. So this is weaker in the sense of we don't expect this to hold all the time. It's perfectly fine if it trades through mean threshold, if it trades up, fills a gap. That's something that I'm not too concerned with. We can obviously watch how it reacts, and if it does react nicely, then you can see to find a setup off of it, but it's perfectly fine if you were to trade through this, right? Especially when you have inefficiencies above. I can mark this out. Seeing the candle bodies there holding. Balanced price range in here. Holding CE. Looking healthy. I'm tempted to take a stop limit there and put high above there, or stop loss above that. That looks great. -2, -2.5 as well. If you displace through that, you got -4 lining up with the sell side that I marked out. And then this is your current weekly sell side, which I guess we'll mark out in orange. We'll keep it red. No fill on the second gap. Immediate rebalance. Got a mitigation there. Let's see how it's holding. Beautiful. Yes, it's starting to catch up. YM is doing its own thing over there. So yeah, the Nasdaq's the only one moving lower. ES is starting to follow suit though. So you can tell why, I was saying watch the reaction off the order block. It's a weaker order block, wicks up into it. Then efficiency on the 15-second chart drops down, holds the order flow, drops down, leaves a breakaway gap, drops down again. Use the rejection or the mitigation block right there, and then drops into the array. All right, now you could, if you wanted to, you could take this low to this high. You look for premium, and just tag it into a higher time frame hourly PD array. So you could look for potential premium retracement. If it doesn't even want to give that, then we're extremely weak, and you look for shorts down to the sell side. And look at the closure there, below 50%. It's a balanced price range down here. Let's see what it looks like on 1 minute. Beautiful. Bearish order block with a gap. Will be here, and the inefficiency right in here. Short-term dealing range premium inside of macro time after tagging this discount imbalance. So on 1 minute chart looks also pretty good. This also should be used as a propulsion block. So I actually want to be measuring 50% of this. Sorry, I'm just trying to be dialed in here. If I'm not talking too much. All right, I don't like that. Starting to wick and close above this shift point. So I can look for a premium, a more deeper retracement. So it's not using this as a propulsion. I just want to watch it now. All right, so I'm just stalking it right now, looking for what can go on. This is how I normally trade. With all these PDRAs marking up, I'm using more. I'm being quick, trying to be more dialed in with this. But basically, still looking for a short entry if it wants to give it to me. We did tag into this higher time frame PDRA, which I'm watching right now. How we want to react, and obviously you can see right in here digging into that inefficiency. The only inefficiency between this high and this low, right? ERL swept there, going back to IRL. That's why I have this marked out. And you can see the nice, perfect reaction we're getting to the tick off of that. But regardless, I'm still looking for the sell side, the relative equal sell side here, relative equal, even this low to be purged by close of Friday. Because of the fact that if this is the weekly high and we're now dropping down, we have SMT here, etc. Thursday should be used as that expansion. Lower, which, yeah, very weird bias today. But we're just tagged into premium, back into the bearish order block, reclaimed. Which, I mean, I guess is fine to be used as reclaimed. Yeah, a little weird, but readable, exactly. So that's how I'm fine with flipping my overall bias for the week. But right now you can see this low, high, lower, low, tagging to the higher time from PD array. I don't really think this is going to be used as a breaker there. But regardless, it's still a discount PD array and has to move back into a short-term premium. So I was measuring there the child dealing range, another child dealing range, another child dealing range, just to see how far into premium it wants to go. Also notice it tagging the -2 to -2.5. So retracements are expected. This is your retracement / reversal of the expected market maker model, right? If I were to go like this, -2, -2.5, standard deviation, retracement, or reversal. So depending on how far we retrace inside of this level would tell me what I need to know about the market maker, or market maker model rather. So if it wants to come all the way back up to here, it's more likely going to be what? A reversal or a very deep retracement. I don't want to be trading inside of a deep retracement because normally it's going to come back up, take stops out, and then it's going to create a secondary market maker sell model. That's much harder, especially because you have to wait a long time, like the 1050 macro type of thing. So right there, I was just measuring all the child dealing ranges, and I'm seeing how it reacts to each. Obviously, we have this bearish order block here that's going to be used as reclaimed. It's also in premium of this short-term dealing range flux. Why are you taking it from this high down to that low? Because this would be an intermediate term high, right? It's a high that fills a gap, and then you drop down, you have another high right there. So that qualifies this as an intermediate term high and also forming the new dealing range. So as we look at premium, when we look at this line and above, what are our premium arrays? Order block is 1, gap is 2, and then you have a little of a wick here. You could use that as a premium array, but you could also be using, I guess if you wanted to, this premium array up here. So I really wanted to just hold inside of this order block, which is what I'm watching right now on a 15-second chart, is how we want to be holding that and obviously using the bearish arrays, but you can see it kind of forming a nice market maker buy model right here on a lower time frame, which is great just for the precision element of price action, right? You see this very nice decline using order blocks, and now the retracement has a very nice market maker model. So it's telling you that price action is pretty clean today, and that's what I care about. So you can see this potentially is like your low risk buy, right? This would be what, your first stage of reaccumulation. You expect a second stage pretty close to this, if not immediately. You can see now it's moving back up into those further premium arrays, like I said, so you have a gap in here. And I also got to be mindful because, as you see in here, higher time frame PD array tagged. Now we're starting to get a 5-minute inversion gap with displacement through. Now the SysD would happen all the way up here. This is why if you're just studying market structure shifts, someone who's just looking for a market structure shift on a 5-minute or a 15-minute, you got to wait for all the way up there. The move is already going to be happening. You're not going to get a setup all the way up here. I mean, you will, but it's going to be so close that what's the point? Trying to get some of the session move. So instead, using things like inversion gaps, SysDs, and obviously a confirmation of that, plus the higher time frame PD array, plus time, is where you'll get more of a higher quality reversal signature that you can start to trust entry points. All right. So this would be the expected second stage of distribution. All right, in here, -1, -0.5, boom. If you wanted to, I mean, if I wanted to, maybe I could even scalp it from here to here, but look how that balanced price range there was used as a breakaway gap. So now it should start to accelerate up to the -2. There you go. You can come back and fill this, actually. That's fine. But you're expecting speed now because I already gave the last entry. Here's your speed running up into the gap. Just got to get a little bit further in. A little bit further in. Past consequent encroachment is preferred. Would a short at 952 be clean? 5-minute close below the 1-hour IRL. Traded back up into the IRL. 1-minute fair value up to entry after 52. Yeah, I think it's fine. Right. That's fair. So this is where you'll start to see, right? As a prime example of what a breaker does on a higher time frame and a lower time frame. You have this low, high, lower low that tags into the gap, obviously, and was used originally as a bearish order block. As we're now above it, what do you expect this order block to be used as? Almost as an inversion order block. That's what a breaker is. Okay. And right in here, as we're climbing out through below the order block, negative, right? And out through the short-term swing low, and we're displacing through all of it. I'm looking for a retrace back into the range after it's tagging to that premium array in the form of an inefficiency to look for further shorts. And it may not give it to me. We have to first measure out the dealing range here. And you look at 50%. So this is our first discount array at 50%. This is where we expect our premium retracement to occur, or some sort of retracement gap to occur. I'll start to see all these things lining up. Start coming back up into the breaker here. This is what I want, best case scenario. Breaker with the inefficiency. Could put at the breaker low. Obviously with the bearish order block. You can see the bearish order block being used nicely. Trip me in. Stop at the breaker high. Could trim it even more to here. Take profit down at the sell side. Put another sell stop limit right in here. So 5-minute PD array tagged into as well. 1-minute PD array on the 1-minute gap right there, and the inefficiency drops back down. Bearish breaker trades into the bearish breaker during the silver bullet time. Right, we're expecting one-sided delivery during 10 a.m. So at this point, to me, this is a decently high-quality model. Start to clear some of this up for you. Actually, this is where you'll see speed. Yeah, that's fine. So it's already hanging out in this breaker a little long. You can see how quick it normally wants to leave the breaker up here with this one. It's even stuck around this for quite some time. But you want a quick reaction off of it. Breaker's the second strongest PD array in the matrix, right? So in that kind of setup, there shouldn't be a lot of time it wants to hold inside of there. Unless it has a secondary objective. Either bias is wrong and it wants to go further up, or number two, it wants to go further into premium and we marked out our breaker incorrectly. All right, both of those are potential scenarios. I want to keep this secondary entry here still in premium. So I don't want to put it on that swing low because it'd be in discount. Buy 2 and a limit there. Other 2 limits are down there. I'm going to screenshot this really quickly. Put it into predictions chat. Now you want to start to see this leave. You don't really want to see this order block touched. I'd favor if it, even if it takes out that low, that would make the breaker unreclaimable, if that makes sense. So through here, you do want to see speed, but also this is where the breaker shouldn't be touched again. It's a long line. Bottom. All right, so now in here, I don't want this to be, I don't want this to be reclaimed anymore. Not reclaimed. So this is where I can as well trim my stop to there. I can even put at that breaker low if I wanted to, but see the nice speed dropping through that swing low perfectly. Same thing with this BPR. This is a BPR, so there shouldn't be a lot of resistance through here. This inefficiency on the meanwhile, That's a little bit better. You can see some inversion used in there. That's fine. You can see as well being used. So it's indicating that this was inefficient at one point. So the lower portion of this, and actually all of it, is inefficient because of the fact the wicks are all through this. So you want to see some slowdown in there, and then it should quickly energetically run. Once it closes through this BPR, you'll see it, boom, go right to that sell side. Short-term swing low, which I guess will be somewhat resistance. But like I said, with the proximity of how where this is to this is, you assume that this is going to be used as that nice little magnet. If everyone's seen the magnet and hammer strategy, you know this is ball. It's draw a really, really large magnet. Normally price wants to draw to it because it can tell where my stops are. And if I just go like this enough, normally it works. Just got to draw some lines here sometimes. Here's where you have a bearish order block. Preferably you don't want it to close past this. I want to close right up to it. That's fine. Perfectly. Now, boom. Now it should leave this. So I like it to see this lead open this breakaway gap. Doesn't look like it wants to do that. It's fine. I'd favor if all the candle buys stay within the IFEG though. Let me shake my magnet a little bit more. Where's the hammer? I need the hammer. There we go. Oh, there's no rotate tool? There we go. Maybe I have to color this one in. I forgot about that rule. Hey, the hammer shot kind of working. Go back down. All right, enough fooling around. Anyway, so it's coming all the way back up into this order block here. A little bit further up than I'd like to see. You can still see the inefficiency there being used fine, and that candle right there utterly spooking me. Just touch back into that higher time frame period, and that's why we're giving this higher resistance retracement. Stop losses right now should be protected. And not protected, but it's a point of invalidation for me. Right? It should not be coming back into this breaker. It shouldn't really be retracing further than this order block. Got a mitigation there with the inefficiency. I see no reason as to why it needs to come all the way further back up. Let's mark out this gap in its entirety here. And then, yeah, that's fine. This also should be a balanced price range. See, we closed through that there, didn't get the speed on the balanced price range, reacted off of the higher time frame PD ray. So on a higher time frame, this would just look like a trade back into a wick, right? As you see there, off the wick, and it's closing within this little gap here. Oh, actually, I'm gonna trim my stop loss. I didn't see the 1 minute order block there. I'm gonna put it one tick above mean threshold. Basically the same thing. Should get stopped out here. Beautiful. Alrighty. I still think it's a valid trade, to be honest. Not too bad. Right. I mean, this little short setup here worked nicely back into the inefficiency, but I don't want that. I want it to drop further down. Look at the time of day as well. At 10:30 on the dot. So maybe I was a little early to the draw. I'll clean some of this up really quick. Too much clutter. That's all I need. Unfortunately, the hammer and magnet strategy did not work there. End of stream would be a good indication for price to go further lower, right? Let's come pull up this. I mean, to be honest, does this look like any bullish signature to you? Coming all the way back down to the projection block, the wick, touching into this reclaimed inefficiency, and then coming back up. I mean, high resistance back up too. You can't even see any inefficiencies forming here on the 1 minute. So to me, it still looks like we want the sell side. Not sell side, but the short-term swing low. So I'm still going to stock a setup here. As long as it gives me, I just need to see more confirmation at this point. Anytime I take a second trade, I need to see further confirmation. If in here I'm taking the breaker and this is like the first stage, I want to take like this, or sorry, the low risk buy. I want to take the first or the second stage on my second trade. Just so the risk is, you know, still staying the same. As well as it's just a higher probability trade than this is. Although this is already decently high probability. I'd like to see and wait for a second one. So what do you need to see for a trade on a 15-second? Same thing you look for on a higher time frame. All right, higher time frame PD rate to be tagged. Lower higher time frame indication of reversal. So if we can close through this, that'd be 1. But now, you know, we've got an actual gap here, so. Can just stay on this 1 minute chart. And if it comes up and takes this high out, I'll be done for the day. But that stops as break even. What's this? 22. Let's copy price. So you can see it's already using this breaker as reclaimed, right? Came back down. You see that shift away. At that point, you don't want to see the breaker reclaimed anymore. And it comes all the way back up and reuses it. Does that make this breaker high probability and very strong? No, not really. You know, so two things could be wrong there. Is either the time of day is incorrect, like I said, or it needs to move back higher. Stay on 1 minute. So I want to see this be traded through for me to look for shorts. Long to premium. I mean, yeah, based off the price, the 1 minute price action, it's definitely not giving me everything I want, so I can see that. 5-minute turtle soup down here, yeah. It's not going to give me that. It's just hanging out. Yeah, that'll probably be it for me for shorts. Come back too far. Trying to see if there's anything in this. I'm gonna make some in power of 3. It's kind of weird. Return back to London low would make sense. Anyways, like I said, if I take out that high, I'm not looking for shorts anymore. Probably done for me today. Break even for the day. Try to get a continuation short there. Doesn't play out. Perfectly fine. Yep. Trying to think. I mean, maybe I missed this. Looking for top step. Try and figure out what was going on. Perfectly fine with that. Yeah. I might wait for the 1050 macro just to see if there's anything in there. I'm not going to trade here in the next 12 minutes or so. So we'll end the stream there. Hopefully get some end stream effect going. Not too bad. Same kind of entry as yesterday. Right, yeah, exactly. Dumpkin coming now. So I'll wait for the 1050 macro. I'll keep you updated in the predictions chat. Just know I feel like there's no point in wasting mental capital in this consolidation, so I'm gonna wait until time of day is right to see if we can get a setup. Right? So, anyways, I will probably catch y'all tomorrow. Like I said, I'm gonna stream today and tomorrow, regardless of the price action. So whatever goes on is whatever goes on. Hopefully we get some better bias determination for me. That's the main thing. All right. So let me actually screenshot this, put into stream trades as well. Break even. All right. So I'm going to go in and journal. Overall, a winning day. Follow what I was looking for. Was patient on it. And easy peasy, just like yesterday. Another win in the books. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wins. And then Friday, see if we can clean up the rest of the price action and squeeze out something at the end of the week. All right. So kind of a slower stream today. I was trying to be dialed in and look for stuff, but it doesn't come to fruition, which is perfectly fine. If you got any questions, shoot me a DM and I'll post the market review as well from yesterday and from today, this tape reading stream. We'll have a market review for today as well, up on YouTube shortly. All right. So take care and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Peace.